We live in a society that walks on eggshells. We all have witnessed either firsthand or through the media how society is conforming to the non-offensive form of opinions, freedoms, and lifestyles. With this being said, the topic at hand has become an extremely controversial and passionate topic for all involved, whether it be the subjects that matter or for those that have been affected by them. The issue at hand is how much restriction should be enforced and what laws should be passed on elderly drivers in order to ensure the safe driving for them and for those that share the road. It is understandable that being an elderly driver is a statement of independence. The ability to drive oneself while not having to rely on friends and family is a freedom. Pride and self-worth are both issues that the elderly face. Whether it be getting to the store or the post office, to be able to do it yourself is a big thing. However, are any of these reasons good excuses for the risk being brought about by allowing elderly drivers to share the road with others? Let's take a look at the elderly driver's argument. According to LoveToKnow.com, driving provides an older person with a sense of independence. Seniors can go where they want and when they want without having to rely on others. Some elderly individuals already feel as if they are a burden to their friends and family, so they don't want to place an additional inconvenience upon them, even if told it won't be any trouble. Some elderly drivers even feel like they are taking the necessary steps to being a responsible driver, understanding their limits and living within them, or so they think. In an article written in USA Today, many elderly drivers do what we call self-regulate. They only drive to the places that they know, on familiar roads, and at certain times of the day. As long as a driver can navigate such trips safely, those are very good decisions to be making. Making a decision not to drive at night anymore is also a tricky decision, which means you recognize that it's not safe. Let's take a look at the sheer facts. How does getting older affect driving? According to LoveToKnow.com, many physical changes are involved that affect driving older people. Not all seniors have these characteristics, but these are some of the reasons why the elderly are more prone to car crashes. Slower reaction time, depth perception, changes in vision, hearing problems, decreased ability to focus, feelings of nervousness and anxiety, and other medical problems. USA Today studies find that the number of elderly drivers is increasing in the U.S. due to the baby boomers generation growing old. In 2006, the National Highway Safety Administration reported 30 million people over the age of 65 were licensed drivers in the U.S. This is 15% of all drivers. How is it looking in the future? The numbers are particularly daunting at a time when the U.S. Census Bureau projects there will be a 9.6 million people 85 and older by 2030. That is up 73% from today. Road safety analysts predict that by 2030, when all baby boomers are at least 65, they will be responsible for 25% of all fatal crashes. In 2005, 11% of fatal crashes involved drivers that old. If statistics are not enough to bring about a connection, let's take a look at some true stories about horrible tragedies, and maybe this will strike a pose. On July 16, 2003, George Russell Weller, then 86, killed 10 people and injured more than 70 when he drove his Buick LeSabre into a crowded market in Santa Monica, California. His attorneys explained that Weller had confused his car's accelerator for the brake. He was convicted of vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence. In the spring of 2006, Elizabeth Grimes, a widow who had lived on Meters Lane for 50 years, had backed out of her driveway, across her lawn, and off the curb. Her 1994 Mercury Grand Marquis then hit the curb across the street before Grimes mistook the gas pedal for the brake and took off with a jackrabbit start. This was witnessed by her neighbor. 6 blocks later, Grimes drove through a red light. The car slammed into Katie Bolka, a 17-year-old high school junior who was driving to school to take an algebra test. 5 days later, Bolka died. Bolka's death has inspired the legislature in Texas to pass a measure that could lead to more frequent vision tests and behind-the-wheel exams for drivers 79 and older. But most states do not require older drivers to renew licenses in person, and the only two, Illinois and New Hampshire, require elderly to pass road tests, which can be crucial in identifying drivers whose physical ability or mental awareness has diminished. State laws are inconsistent on the issue. According to the IIHS, which researches factors that cause crashes, most state driver's license laws require basic eye exams, but typically cannot detect a driver's diminished physical capacity and cognitive awareness. No state has an age limit on drivers. States have tried a range of approaches, but for the most part, they have struggled to establish precise standards for determining when seniors should be kept off the road while being fair to older drivers who remain capable. AARP offers a driver safety program at sites around the country and online. The program is an 8-hour class for drivers 50 and older that deals with the effects of aging on driving. The organization's website also offers advice for seniors and the adult children on how to stay safe. Just to prove the ineffectiveness of the system, Texas Senator John Girona, the Boca State Senator, said during a recent hearing that his mother is blind and they just renewed her license by mail. My opinion of a possible solution is this. All drivers 75 years of age and older should be required to take an annual driving test behind the wheel, and on top of that have an annual physical, which includes, but doesn't have to be limited to, a hearing exam, an eye exam, a reflex test, a depth perception test. On top of this, medication and health history should be considered when reissuing the license, just to make sure that it will not negatively affect the driver's ability to function the vehicle. Also, if a driver is pulled over by an officer for driving recklessly, whether it be driving too slow or having erratic driving habits, they should be required to be tested by the DMV for all the above tests, including the driving test, just to make sure that they are capable behind the wheel. This isn't about age. This is about ability. A car can be a dangerous weapon, and when you put an incompetent individual behind the wheel of a 2-ton piece of metal traveling at dangerously fast speeds, the consequences can be absolutely and fatally devastating. Looking above at the statistics given, something needs to be done, and soon, because the time is coming when the population of elderly drivers on the road will increase exponentially, creating a very dangerous situation for all on the road. Even though there has not been a proper law set for all states, it does not mean if the answer is not there. If nothing is done, the tragic results will be inevitable. Without doing anything, the individuals that have lost their lives to this tragic situation will have died in vain. We must all bond together to get national legislation passed to fix the problem before it grows into something bigger than what it already is. Thank you.